little bit too complicated. So anyway, you got to add a little flavor in here, sisters, y'all don't mind. So from a social point of view, sisters, your family, your community, and your society, what is your place? What is your role? How are you participating? What is your platform? What are your tools? What are your resources? Okay? From a political point of view, we live in America. Is that where we live? Do we live in America?
Yes.
Okay, good. So in America, it's called, what kind of democracy? What kind of democracy? We mentioned that yesterday. It's called participatory. Get that word. What is it called? Participatory democracy. Islam was the first participatory democracy. The Catholics took it from us. There's democracy all over the world. Everybody talking about democracy, but America got a different standard of democracy than anybody else. Because the smallest people in the world, in the country, can participate as long as they don't have no felony. You know what that means? As long as you don't have a felony conviction in America, you can vote. Now, I didn't say how to vote. I didn't say why to vote. I didn't say who to vote for, so let's not get into that part. But a very famous person who died as a Muslim, he made a statement. I'm sorry, excuse me. He made a statement. He said, it's either the ballot or the bullet. Who said that? Huh? The ballot or the bullet? He says that power is only achieved in the world through either the ballot or the bullet. That's the choice you got. And if you don't choose one of them, that means you're on the sidelines and you're just rolling with whoever can take charge. So in America, we don't have to do no bullet. We ain't got to be shooting no bullets in America anymore, right or wrong, because we have a participatory democracy. So the only way that Muslims can acquire power, influence, leverage in the society is not, you know, just by their religious ideas, that they have to get involved in the political process. Now, how we do that, it calls for strategizing. That the leaders of the Muslims have to come together, first of all, and that they have to choose an emir for every state. After they choose an emir for every state, then those states, those emirs get together and they create an emir for every region. And after they create an emir for every region, then those 4, 5, or 6 emirs, umara, from the regions of the United States of America, they select one of themselves to become what? The national emir. When there's a national emir, then he can study the situation with his majlis and he can determine that out of 8 million Muslims in America, that there are 2 million who are qualified to vote. Then he can say, I want every Muslim, male or female, that has the ability to vote, to go out and get a voter's registration card. That's number one. After you get that voter's registration card, I want each one of you to give me the proxy of your vote. Do you know what that means? Huh? What does it mean? The proxy means I can direct you where to place that vote. And because you trust me, your vote comes to me, I direct you where to put that vote. Guess what? No one can become the president of the United States if he's holding 1 million votes in his hands. We can determine who's the next president of the United States. We certainly can determine who can be the governor of any state, whether they like it or they don't like it, unless they change the Constitution. But guess what? There's not even 3% of the Muslims in America who even understand the voting system. And there's not even 1% who are voting.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
وأن محمد رسول الله.
حي على الصلاة.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
حي على الصلاة.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
حي على الفلاح.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر.
الله أكبر الله أكبر.
لا إله إلا الله.
اللهم Okay, sisters, what I'm going to do is try to wrap everything up, inshallah, in the next amount of time between now and the time of the Iqamah. The Q&A, this will be for another time, another place. I'm giving you my cards so that if there's a question that you have, an issue that you have, or comment that you want to make, hit me up. Send me an email. If I don't respond, I have people who can respond, inshallah, to you, and I will do my best to do that. So, one, family, community, society is your social and political involvement, your empowerment. You got to be in it to win it. You have to think about it. You have to do research about it. You have to plan on it. You have to form a committee about that. And you have to be involved. And if the brothers, your husbands, your fathers, your sons, your cousins, your uncles, the sheikh, or whoever they are, if they don't seem to be involved in understanding the sister, mix it up. Mix it up. You don't have to stand up and do no talking. Start writing. Asking questions. As a citizen of the United States of America, you have that right. And as a Muslim, you have that right. And also you have that responsibility. Next, from a material point of view, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He already gave the women their rights. Because women, they inherit from the husbands or their fathers, but their property is separate. And it wasn't just until maybe about 50 years ago in America, 50, 60 years ago in America, that a woman could not even have her own last name. Is that right or wrong? Do you know that? I mean, how many people know that? Up until about 60 years ago, a woman could not have her own last name when she got married. She had to take the name of her husband, is that right? And it was only up until about 67 years ago, a woman could not buy a house by herself. She could not. No mortgage company, no bank, nobody would give her a mortgage in her name. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave the woman those rights from the very beginning. And it was not just some kind of coincidence that Allah gave the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his first wife was also materially empowered. She was also socially empowered. She was also morally empowered. So the first woman that any of you need to emulate, strive to be like, is Khadija radiallahu anha. Because she was empowered in all ways. And that's why Allah gave the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam the best. He gave her the best, and He gave him the best. So from a material point of view, you sisters need to know that you have the right to develop your material profile, your portfolio. Save your money. Buy gold. Buy property. And the gold and the property that you inherit or that you get, it is yours. And your husband has no access to it unless he asks you. And if he's not a good business manager, don't give it to him. And if your husband got money and he's stingy, take some of his money and give it in sadaqah. Because a woman came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked one day, said, my husband is stingy. Is it all right if I take some money and give it in sadaqah? He said, yes, but don't take the best of his money. See, this is the rights. And when somebody asks me, how is it fair that when a father dies and leave the money, the son get twice as much as the girl? Isn't that wrong? I said, no, it's not wrong unless you understand the context of it. The girl, whatever she receives, she ain't got to spend it on nobody but herself. Is that right or wrong? But the man, whatever he receives, he got to spend on his wife, his auntie, his daughter, his mother, his sister, his another wife, or whoever. He got to spend on all them, but she don't have to spend on nothing. So is that fair? Then the sister, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, good. See. Next, your worldly empowerment. That is what the world, what you want to do to change the world. Your worldly empowerment. Women can do things to change the world, not just change their earrings, change their bags and their shoes, and change diapers. No, women can change the world. That's part of your empowerment. That's part of your portfolio. That's part of your right, and it's also part of your part of your ambition, and part of your responsibility in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to believe that. And lastly, your psychological. That has to do with your self-esteem. That has to do, you understand me, with your self-confidence. You need to do everything you can do to make sure you feel good about yourself. You know, the brother was talking yesterday about the sister don't need to be all shabby and all that in front of her husband. No. Sister, even before your husband come home, make sure you feel good about yourself. When you getting your nails done, your toes done, and pedicure, manicure, get your hair done, all that, make sure you feel good about yourself. Because if you don't feel good about yourself, then you're faking it with your husband. Feel good about you, because it is about you first before it is him. That's what they say when the thing dropped down the airplane. Whoever's next to you, do what? Put it on you before you put it on them. If you don't feel good about yourself, sister, you ain't going to pass on nothing good to your kids. You ain't going to pass nothing good to your husband. Your husband's just going to be using you as a utility, and that ain't what it's about. Feel good about yourself. Wear nice clothes for your husband, for yourself. Have stuff inside the house where you feel nice and comfortable and secure. Put things away so you know it's yours for your family, and if something should happen to your husband, you got the right also to be thinking about yourself too. Don't be doing things all like it's all about him, because men can get real selfish, and when the time comes that you get old and you can't have no more babies, men get deep. I mean, go both ways. I'm saying when I'm talking to the men, I can say something else too. But I'm saying, think about yourself, your role in the world. How do you feel about your self-esteem? What do you think about you? When you wake up in the morning, you go to sleep at night, how do you feel about you? That's your psychological well-being. These all have to do with the empowerment of the woman. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that each one of you can take some of this that I've said, and I hope, inshallah, that I'm doing something that will balance out my scales on the day of judgment. You know, when I acted unjustly towards a wife, when I acted, selfish towards my 7 daughters, okay, when they will complain to Allah on the day of judgment that their father wasn't around. But I'm hoping that somehow or another I can balance that, and what Allah said in Surah Al-Furqan, يُبَدِّلُ اللَّهُ سَيِّئَاتِهِمْ حَسَنَاتٍ. That maybe this can happen. So I'm being personal about what I have to say. That my mother, who officially became Muslim last Ramadan, okay, when my mother says how good she feels about her son, when my mother gives me a whole different level. I wouldn't care if it was 100,000 shahadas. My mother was the best one. Because my mother said, she never felt as good as she felt as a Muslim in her entire life. Thank you, son. That meant the world to me. So I know it's about self-confidence. I know it's about self-esteem. And even my mother talks different now as a Muslim. She's telling her daughters, telling her little grandkids and all that, listen, I don't know what y'all thinking about and talking about, whatever it is, but you better be listening. You better be reading the Quran. She done already gave 2 shahadas already, and she's 89. Because her confidence has changed. When you feel good about yourself and you have good self-esteem, you're going to do better for yourself, you're going to do better for your family, you're going to do better for Islam, and this is what empowerment is about. Empowerment is about performance. And you can't perform well if you don't feel well. And you can't do well if you don't feel well. And then it's about influence, it's about leverage, because people can see how you're feeling, and then people can take that lead. And so we want our sisters to be empowered. We don't want them to be weak and feeling oppressed and all that kind of stuff. Because when people ask me about Muslim women, I say, hey, why are you asking me? Do I got a dress on? Ask my wife, ask my daughter, ask my mother, ask my sister, ask a Muslim woman. And when they come and ask you, we're praying to Allah that you would be confident, that you can be able to speak with confidence about this here. And it's not about arrogance, it's about confidence. So 2 different things. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us, inshallah. And I hope, inshallah, that I didn't say anything too provocative. I hope I didn't offend anybody or step on anybody's toes. But if I did, your shoes are a little bit too long. Might be an extension of your ego. So, brothers, I appreciate what you brothers said. And I want to just qualify a couple of things here. When I said the sisters ain't got to cook for you, they don't have to sew for you, they don't have to iron your clothes, they ain't got to be changing the diapers of your babies, they don't got to be dropping them off for school, they don't have to be doing all that. They need to do this here to earn your pleasure, but they don't have to, so don't be treating them, okay, like taking it for granted, you know, that your food need to be on the stove when you get home. Your clothes need to be washed in the morning. Your babies need to be taken, dropped off, and that she need to go do the shopping. No, that's not part of the contract. If she does that, you should be grateful. And from time to time, you should show her how grateful that you are. And then when it's time for we talk about the empowerment of the men, we can flip the script. Talk about it a little bit differently. But for today, it's about the sisters. Sorry, sisters, I can't talk to them all because they're going to call their comment in a minute. And that's got precedent over everything that we do. May Allah bless all of you. After we finish making the prayer, guess what? We out. And